Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to the channel, Aftermarket Intakes. Today we'll be installing a cold air intake into my Ap1 S2000, and along the way I'll try to explain why I want to do this, what it does, and we'll do a quick sound check at the end, so stick around for that. Now if you like the video, make sure to hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So when it comes to aftermarket intakes, you got a lot of options in terms of style and manufacturer, depending on the car you own. And so for today's install, I'll be going with the K&N's cold air intake, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But first, I want to walk you through my justifications for each mod that I'll be doing for my S2000 and how I categorize my mods. So for my crude categories that I've kind of put together here, for now I've broken it down to 3 buckets. And yeah, I know it's probably going to change. So for bucket 1, we've got performance. Does it improve the car's performance? More ponies, better handling, etc., etc. So that's bucket 1. Then we've got bucket 2, bougie. Still working on the name, give me a break, alright? Does it fit the vision that I've got in mind for this car? And so with that, I've also got a subcategory, just because, and I like to call it the police radar. But the thought is, if I was to drive casually past a cop or a Karen, would I get pulled over for no reason and start raking up those tickets? But that really comes from, is the car loud? And I don't only mean that in the literal sense. It doesn't make me stand out, which is not always a good thing, right? Hence why it's under aesthetics. And for bucket 3, of course, cost. What are the trade-offs for what I'm trying to accomplish, and is it worth the cost? Or in other words, how will my pocket feel at the end of the day? Or more importantly, actually, how will my wife feel? Now before we start tearing things up, let's take a quick look of what we're working with under the hood. Alright, so here's the current airbox. It's absolutely massive and a little bit clunky looking. Of course, there's a team of engineers who take a look at the triangle of trade-offs and based off their research come up with a design that fits best with what they've determined is what their customers look for and is best fit for their vehicle. And so this works great. And specifically for this vehicle, even after we've changed the cold air intake, it doesn't really increase the performance a whole lot. But not to step on anyone's toes, this does look subpar. But it does a good job in reducing the engine noise that not everyone wants to hear. But our goals clearly don't align. I want it to not only look better, but also sound a lot more aggressive. Which fits in bucket 2 of mine, make the engine bay, aesthetically pleasing. And yes, I know I need to clean the engine bay. I haven't got to that. Maybe in a later video, I'll take care of that as well. So with the kit, we've got an instruction sheet, of course. A sheet that says if you run it on the dyno and you don't see an increase in horsepower, they'll give you your money back, and a dyno sheet that shows the increase in horsepower. Now I know it would have been nice to do a dyno run before to set a baseline and do one after, but the gains are minimal, so I don't think it was worth it. Alright, well that's enough talking for today. Now let's start with removing the negative terminal on the battery, unclipping the airbox, unscrewing some of the screws holding it down, and removing the hoses connected to stock intake. Alright, we've successfully taken out the old airbox out of the engine bay here. The air injection pump hose here, due to heat and 120,000 miles later, it was stuck on properly onto the stock intake. So it took a little bit more convincing to get it out of there, but we finally got it out. It was only 3 bolts here, their injection hose, and the intake going to the throttle body, and the crankcase hose. So those 3 connections there, and then 3 bolts here, and we're done with that. Now before we fill this void, let's talk about why we want to take this step. And I'm sweating out here, but let's go. Alright, so why do we want to change the cold air intake, really, from a performance standpoint? And so to understand that, let's just talk about the engine and how it works. Now, for an engine to work, we need 3 components: air, fuel, and something to aid in the combustion, aka a spark. Increasing of those 3 things, theoretically, we should see a larger combustion within the cylinders, thereby allowing the engine to put out more power. Now, for the purpose of this video, we want to look at the air coming in naturally and really cost effectively, because it ain't a turbo. But the basic idea is we want the car to be able to breathe freely and make sure that the air we jam into the cylinders is as dense as possible. And as we know, cold air is a lot more dense than warm air, hence why the airbox is so far displaced from the engine or the heat source. And now, do I really believe that this cold air intake will substantially increase our power output, or the horsepower we can put out. For this specific car, it's already pretty well designed, as I discussed in my previous videos. The engineers over at Honda have put a lot of thought, time, and money into making sure that this car puts out as much power as possible with what it's got. So no, I don't expect a whole stable, but I do expect to see some horsepower gains within the range of 5 to 10 horsepower. Now, it would have been awesome to do a dyno run before and then a comparison run afterwards, and I really thought about if I cannot get it on dyno, maybe coming up with a way to calculate horsepower. Still working on that, but at the end of the day, I think a gain of 5 to 10 horsepower would probably be my margin of error for my method, and my method wouldn't be as repeatable as putting it on a dyno. So I will save myself some time and probably work on that as a project in a later video and see what I come up with. For now, I'll just go with their word and the data that I've found online of people who've done dyno runs and the results they've got. Now, what the dyno does not take into consideration is the aesthetics and the sound, which will be music to my ears once this is done. So stick around for that again. All right, so looks like we need to remove this crankcase hose and begin mocking up the cold air intake. So let me set you guys down and get to work. Alright, so I ran out of juice, so you guys might have missed some things. But here we are. I've got the intake in, got the filter on, the heat shields on, all the L brackets are on, and all the hoses are back on. So all we have to do now is make sure the clamps are tight, everything is snug, make sure everything's tightened down and ready to go. So let's do it. Alright, we are officially done. Guys, we made it to the end. It's looking really good. We've got a ton more space here. Of course, I need to clean up the engine bay. A little bummed about this paint chipping off here. The hoses were a little tough to take off, so needed a little more convincing using a pick, and so I chipped the paint, but we'll clean it up and possibly paint it again. Otherwise, engine bay looks really good. Now before I put the battery in, I'm just gonna change out the cabin air filter. Yeah, I think it's terrible. Alright, we've got the battery in, everything's tightened down, everything looks good. So I'm gonna put you guys down and turn on the car and see how it sounds. Alright, while the engine's warming up, we're gonna quickly slap on some stickers. We got a carb exempt sticker that goes on here. Some states require it, like California. I'm not sure Illinois requires it, but we're gonna put it on anyways. And K&N sticker, so put that on and give the engine a whirl. It's like 90 some out here, guys, and I'm sweating. But I think it definitely passes the aesthetics test, and it sounds amazing. But let's hop in the car and take you guys for a spin, tell you guys what I think about the performance as well. So let's get it. All right, so far I think I'm feeling a little bit more response, but even better than that, when I step on it, it sounds amazing. Was it worth it? Yes, for sure. Should have done it a long time ago.
Don't do anything I would do, and definitely don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Oh God. Alright, I think as far as the loud on the police radar, yeah, if I'm stepping on it, I'm definitely getting pulled over. But when I'm just cruising, it's actually not that bad. Whew, I gotta find me a tunnel. Alright, final verdict. Definitely worth it. Is that aesthetically pleasing? For sure. Performance, do I feel a significant increase? I didn't expect it. But I think I do feel a little bit more throttle response, which is awesome. But as far as the opening it up, oh my God. I can't get over the sound, alright? So once I get over the sound, maybe I'll look into the horsepower, but I think right now I'm just playing with my mind, but it sounds amazing. Alright guys, I think that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Alright, see you guys in the next video.